I'll admit it was a difficult decision to pre-order these figures to begin with, but it wasn't so difficult a decision to cancel them. Hey everyone, hope you guys are doing well. One of the most common questions that I was asked for years and years on live streams and in emails and direct messages was if there was one vintage toy line that you would like to see revisited that hasn't been yet and done in a more modern fashion, which would it be? And my answer was always Silverhawks. I always said I thought that Silverhawks would really benefit from modern technology and a modern look at how to do those action figures. I did not anticipate at the time that the toy company that would secure the rights and decide to do it would be Super7, which crushed me. Look, the only thing that would have been worse would have been if it was NECA. Super7 getting the rights to that crushed me in two ways. One, because I don't think that Super7 stuff, its premier premium price stuff, is worth the money. I think the closest they've come to matching their value for their dollar is with their Ninja Turtles stuff. But their Thundercats stuff is constantly delayed and they don't even match up to the original promises of the figures they're going to deliver. The articulation is limited. They just seem to cut corners with all of the design work on their action figures. And then of course the egregious delays. I know that the Thundercats line, the people that pre-ordered those, they got wave 3 before they ever got wave 2. You can't get direct answers out of the head of the company. It's all spin and, diplomatic hedging and all that kind of stuff. So I wasn't thrilled. However, because I had said for so many years I would want to see Silverhawks, I felt like I was put in a corner where if I don't review these or own them or look at them or whatever, then understandably people will be like, hey, well, they finally did some and you didn't buy them. And it's like, all right. So I compromised and I said, all right, I've always said Silverhawks. I didn't say the villains, which for my type of collecting is pretty much true. I collect core characters. With vintage videos, I often do get most of the run, both good guys and bad guys, but for modern, I just kind of get what I want, Like with Rogue One Black Series, I just got the heroes from the movie. I didn't get all the ancillary characters in the Black Series line that they've come out with. I just pre-ordered the Hawks as they came out in these waves. And to date, of course, Big Bad Toy Store has said Super7 isn't even close to shipping anything. Their latest estimate is October of this year for Wave 1 alone. At $55 a piece, and so far we're talking 6 Silverhawks over 3 waves. That ain't cheap. Quicksilver, Bluegrass, Steel Will, Steel Heart, Hot Wing, and Stargazer. I sat for many months on these, waiting in my cart for them to, be available. And I would keep up with the pre-orders for the new waves. And I was irritated by the fact that Super7 was happy to just announce wave after wave after wave of product when the other waves hadn't even shown up yet. That was irritating, but I thought, well, we're kind of in the middle of this whole COVID thing, so shipping being what it is and everything's delayed, and I'll just wait it out and go focus on something else, which was not difficult, but things started to pile up in the background with this announcement that Super7 had almost sub-licensed, in a way, Silverhawks within a few months of their Wave 1 announcement. They had sub-licensed Silverhawks to Ramen Toys. And then Ramen Toys was coming out with this kind of stylized, more tech-looking, more badass-looking Quicksilver. He actually had the metallic paint, for example, whereas the Super7 ones are still just renders. Even as of right now, with 1 month allegedly to go before Wave 1 comes out, they're still just digital renders. They haven't updated the pre-order people on anything. They haven't updated anybody in the community on what these things are going to actually look like. And the renders all look like dull matte paint. So there were these jokes going around at the time that they shouldn't be called Silverhawks. They should be called Primer Hawks, which I thought was pretty funny. So Ramen Toys announces this Quicksilver right on the heels of Wave 1 and 2 of the Super7 stuff. And they want like $80 or $90 for this action figure, which I thought was just ridiculous. I was like, I've already pre-ordered an entire wave. Well, not the villains, but I've already pre-ordered 2 waves of Hawks from Super7. Yeah, they're not shiny like this one is. And the ramen one wasn't shiny, but it was like metallic finish, if you know what I mean. Like it was kind of a brighter silver, whereas the Quicksilver in Super7 is straight up gray. It's just gray. Super7 is hiding behind the attitude of, oh, we're trying to make it look like the animation. And it's like, right, but the animation was trying to look like polished metal. So it's like, they're not exactly cell shading them or anything to make them literally look like animation like NECA has done with some of the Ninja Turtles lines. It's them just using an excuse to not take it the extra mile. Same reason that they constantly say they can't do double jointed knees and elbows and shoulders and stuff like that. Oh, we can't do that. And it's like, no, you can, you just choose not to. But because this was the only Silverhawks game in town until Ramen showed up, I felt pressure. But the Ramen toy was one figure, $80 or $90. I can't remember, but I balked at it because I was like, there's no way I'm going to buy that from the sub-licensor for $90 or $80. So I passed on it. But a few of my friends, including Laserpants at 3POA Podcast, picked this thing up. And of course, as is typical with any toy company that's not Super7, they showed up, within months, and Super7's 3 waves are still nowhere to be seen. And Laserpants told me, he was like, this thing sucks. The Ramen Toys one. He's like, this thing is bad. And that made me pause, because I'm going, okay, so the Ramen Toys one is bad, and it's the one that everybody says looks like it would be the better option. And in the background, Super7 has pretty much gone silent on the Silverhawks thing. There's been no wave that announced Copper Kid, who is the last core character that would have been needed for this line, and that would have come with 3 other figures, so ostensibly that would have been 2 more villains and another Hawk, possibly Flashback or Condor or somebody like that. But we've heard nothing. And it's been a protracted amount of time since Wave 3 was announced. And with Warner Brothers going through this upheaval with this new crazy CEO, David Zaslav, who's, completely unpredictable and doing all kinds of crazy stuff, I'm not so sure that there isn't some kind of problem going on between Warner Brothers and their licensors, especially Super7. There are just too many red flags. And I said to myself, you know what? I don't want to be without a chair when the music stops on this. I can very much see this going the way of, well, like if we were lucky, if you're still holding on to your money, you'll be lucky if they cancel the whole thing outright and you just get refunded. But if they go ahead with what they've got, but they're prevented from doing more, and to me, Super7 is like the Enterprise D of toys, toy companies. I don't know if you remember Star Trek: The Next Generation very well, but the Enterprise D in the plot of every Star Trek episode for Next Generation took a minimal amount of punishment that shut the whole ship down. Like, the old Enterprise could just take a beating and just keep going, both in the original show and in the movies. And the Enterprise D, it was like Worf standing there being like, sir, the toilet's backed up. And then they're like, oh, the warp drive is offline, It was the most contrived, easily breakable ship for the purposes of plot suspense. I didn't mean to go off on a tangent there. It is related to what I'm saying, but Super7 is kind of like that as a toy company. They're the enterprise D of toy companies, where one little thing allegedly happens that wouldn't really hold up another toy company all that much. You know, they might have like a few weeks delay or something like that, and then they just keep on trucking. But Super7 is always like, oh gosh, oh, we're delayed by months and months and months and months now. It might even be a year and a half, and we can't get you those images beyond renders, and and then they just go radio silent. So like, when you see a company like Valaverse, you know, already having done waves 1, 2, 2.5, and now 3. 3 is, you know, days away, weeks away, mere weeks from showing up, and it's all on schedule. And you're looking at Super7's just protracted production times and going dark, and the quality's not that great, and the figures are overpriced, and they mysteriously haven't announced the wave that would complete all the Hawks for the buyers, which would have been smart to give the buyers like myself confidence that, okay, we're gonna hang on. You know, where there's smoke, there's fire. And I don't have any, I'm not connected to any of these companies, okay? I deliberately keep myself at arm's length from them, but I couldn't hang on any longer. I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna get stuck with a bunch of overpriced Silverhawks if they have to cancel this due to some kind of kerfuffle with Warner Brothers and then turn around and not have Copper Kid. I will not be stuck with $250, $300 worth of, you know, Super7 Ultimates that don't have the final figure, the final key figure. I ain't doing it. So, yeah, I didn't want them to begin with, but I kind of felt pressure to do so because that's the question. That's the answer to the question that's always been asked of me. But I always knew it was the wrong company to do it. And I just have this sinking feeling. I could be wrong, and then they turn it around and they're like, oh yeah, everything's fine, and oh, here they all come. And if that's the case, then I'll get them like I picked up some of the Ninja Turtles Ultimates. I'll just get them after they're out. But in a pre-order scenario, I'm out. So yeah, that's my rationale, and I'm sticking to it. You collect however you want. Nobody's criticized me for this or anything like that. As a matter of fact, most people have said that's a good bit of common sense. But yeah, Super7 and my rationales rarely gel. I just don't like the way they do business, both with the way they design their products and with the way they roll out and distribute their products. Like I said, I've got some Ninja Turtles Ultimates here that I'm going to talk about soon, and they seem to be probably the best thing that Super7 has attempted. They're, by and large, very good. But with their Thundercats, they've just face planted, and I have no doubt that the Silverhawks are in the same, if not a worse situation. So tactical retreat on that one. All right. Well, I'm going to get back to doing Bionic 6 Part 2, which is in the edit. And I'll see you guys in the next video.